Hi guys, welcome to part 3. This is the final part of this 2020-2025 offshore playbook. We're looking at the best banks, best fintechs, and some tools for the offshore entrepreneurs, expats around the world. Again, if you are looking at living in an expat lifestyle, looking at paying, potentially 0% income tax, lowering your corporate tax to also minimal measures, then please do get in contact. We do deal with a lot of entrepreneurs around the world. Again, it's Will from 4 Point Solutions. If you haven't met me before, welcome. Welcome to 4 Point Solutions, essentially in another video here. And, so you've basically now got your residency sorted out from the other videos. You've got a chosen one right. You're looking at actually starting this process. Your companies, you've now got a bit of a blueprint of how you're going to structure it. But if you don't pick the right banks or the right fintech tools, you're basically still stuck, So, I'm going to show you exactly the financial stack I would use in 2025 to run an offshore operation, offshore business, or your businesses internationally. And again, number one, banking. The new actual reality is vastly different compared to last year or even the year before, and especially 5 years ago, right? So traditional offshore banking is completely dead unless you have real substance and complete compliance ready to show those banks, right? So you need a three-layered approach. Number one is the stable tier one banks. That's for safety and custody. Number two, you would need the fintechs and EMIs for daily payment flows, cards, APIs, right? And number three, as we move into a stable coin environment, not sure if you've been actually reading Bloomberg, going into how stable coins have been, doing vast volumes around the world, crypto rails such as payments, liquidity, and yields coming from a crypto side, you would also need to obviously have your crypto infrastructure built as well, correct? No matter what business you're kind of running, we are now in a very blockchain future where stable coins are becoming a huge part of our economic environment, right? So number two, we're going to be focusing on these tier one private and custodial banks, right? So you're looking at Switzerland, Luxembourg, Singapore, In Zurich, Geneva, we've got those private banks, excellent custodial addresses, local IBANs for US dollars, Swiss francs, and euros, right? Luxembourg and Liechtenstein, again, it's EU banking with fund custody. Singapore, we've got a very strong Asian banking hub and accepts global international wealth. However, these are just used to park your reserves, investments, and big ticket payments, They're always going to be requiring plus 250K, potentially even more than $1 million or $5 million, depending on which bank you're actually looking to get, right? They all have pros, they all have cons at the end of the day here. Then we move on to fintechs and the EMI stack. So in UAE, we got WIO, we've got NEO, we've got, you could also look at obviously having a DIFC and an ADGM fintech payment rail as well. In Europe, you probably know Wise, Payoneer, Revolut Business, Lithuanian EMIs as well. In the Americans, we've got Mercury for US LLCs, Brex, and also Latin American fintechs as well. And again, there's also specialized, unique payment processes, which also can be very useful. Checkout.com. For SaaS or e-commerce, we've also got Aiden, and we've also got Stripe. You've probably all heard of Stripe before as well. Depends what business you're actually running, depends on your personal objectives. And again, you'll probably want to create this three-tiered stack, as I've just kind of mentioned. And again, if you did obviously want to go ahead and speak to me about some of these payment actual network rails, which ones would be best for your business, where you're currently living, where you're looking at living, what structure you would kind of like, then obviously I'm happy to help you, and you can go ahead and book a meeting with me down below. But the tip here is to actually be keeping 2 to 3 EMIs across jurisdictions, The question is if you just have one, what happens if one goes ahead and closes? It's happened to clients before. They did. Sorry to interrupt here, guys. However, most entrepreneurs are actually overpaying in taxes and leaving their wealth exposed in just one country. That's why I've now gone and created Structure, Protect, and Expand. And this is the offshore wealth method that shows you how to protect your assets, reduce taxes, and unlock global opportunities. So the enrollment is actually opening soon. Spots are limited, and you can join the early access waiting list through the link in the bio below. Cheers, guys. Hope you enjoy the video as well. didn't have multiple, and now there's a really large problem with business, right? I've spoken to so many people where this happens, and even on personal accounts as well as corporate accounts as well. You know, at the end of the day, we're in a world where customer acquisition cost is always increasing, and regulatory pressures are always increasing. The banks need to know much more information, and you need to be able to present it to them in a presentable manner that, you know, saves them time. You know, it's very expensive for banks to even be looking at compliance nowadays, and that's why they're so, you know, pushing to just close accounts, right? So don't let that happen. Be ready for the compliance and have it all out there very simply. Now, when we move into the crypto actual rails, right, we've got Dubai, which is a VARA licensed exchange. We've got Binance. That's Binance based in over UAE. We've got Bybit Dubai as well, which is obviously very nice in Dubai. In Panama and Latin America, there's OTC desks. You know, this is for fast settlements into US dollars if you are being paid into from stable coins. Then if you want to be settled in US dollars in your Panama operational company, that is a potential you can obviously set up, all automated as well. And again, there's stablecoin banking, USDT, USDC for fast treasury moves as well. Now, the rule here is to never rely on a single exchange, combine a few different licensed kind of platforms, and again, cold storage protocols and OTC exchange desks as well. Now, when we move into tech, something I haven't really spoken about too much on this YouTube channel at all, but I feel that it is necessary, right? So with accounting, we're looking at Xero or Zoho books. This is for multi-currency accounting, can come in very handy, especially when we speak about you know, looking at banking applications or keeping up to date with banking compliance and making sure accounts are always going to actually be remaining open. We do want to be actually showcasing all those books. And again, those two platforms, Xero and Zoho books, can really, really help in that particular scenario. With entity management, we can use Carta, which is, you know, cap tables, essentially, very, very useful software. Actually diligent for compliance, and essentially Google Drive for docs, you know. Google Drive is good. It's not really too secure, but it is good to be using for some quick docs. And in CRM and sales, you know, obviously you've probably all heard of Salesforce, also HubSpot as well, one of my personal favorites. But there's also Pipedrive as well, a new one into the play, really, really good company as well, really, really interesting. But HubSpot's my personal favorite one right there. You've probably heard of these all before, right? Now, when we look at operations, very common to be using Slack, Notion, Zoom, and Deal, and that obviously is for hiring globally. You know, when you are expanding your business, you are always looking at increasing your workforce, depending on your business model. Maybe you don't have to, it's very lucky for you, but most of the time you do have to, and obviously that software can really, really help out. Then in security, you're looking at Proton Mail, you know, the entire Proton Business Suite, which I do use myself as well. Also, you can use NordVPN, diversify within your own VPNs, right? Google Workspace with 2FA, you know, having the double factor authentication on your Google accounts as well as key on all of your accounts, you know. So when you put it all together, let's go over a series now. We've got crypto founder, UAE company, VAR exchange, Swiss custody, and Wise for expenses. You know, SaaS founder, we're basically looking at Cyprus plus Stripe with a Revolut business. You can onboard using Revolut Business, fantastic company. I love Revolut Business myself, my UK, EU entities. And again, plus Xero and EU VAT compliance software. I'm a Nomad consultant, right? You're looking at a Panama corporation, the Mercury accounts, you know, maybe a US LLC as well, Wise, and Cold Wallet for stablecoins, right? So at the end of the day, the playbook is essentially complete. So part one is where to live tax-free. Part two is how to structure your business, hopefully tax-free, if that is possible. And part three is the banks, the fintechs, and the software behind it all to run your actual own internal operations, right? So if you're serious about actually building your offshore plan, hit subscribe. And if you want my team's help, again, the links are down in the description. And again, this series is now finished. I really hope you enjoyed it, and please, you know, drop any recommendations for any cool software that you use yourself or you've come across. I'm always researching cool software, always trialing some new software as well. I do find it very interesting. You know, tech is one of the best things we have on this planet. It does save us a fortune of money and a fortune of time as well, which is most important. And other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next videos. I hope you enjoyed this short little series that explains those three things there, and now you have a better idea of where you can live, where you can actually structure your business, and where and what tech platforms to be using within your businesses. Ciao guys, bye bye, cheerio.